Ohio Airsoft Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Ohio Airsoft Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest news, discussion, and event updates from across the state. I'm your host, MGD. I'd like to apologize for there not being an episode 2 weeks ago. I was out here at Devil's Playground, may have fallen, taken my pistol to the face, and gotten 6 stitches. So I'm all better now. I just have a sweet battle scar left. So right now I am actually sitting out in the parking lot at Devil's Playground at their second event. I must say this is one absolutely amazing field. Absolutely amazing. I love this field. So before I get too far into saying how much I love the field, and I'll save that for later, let's get into event updates / listings. Purging Fury is going to be the next event at Calamityville, so anybody that hasn't gone to Calamityville that wants to go to Calamityville and play in a old concrete factory, do so, because that will be on July 21st. A lot of fun, should be quite interesting. Then Valley Creek is having their Milsim season opener on June 23rd, so if anybody wants to go to that, if you haven't been to Valley Creek or you just like playing at Valley Creek, because it is a very nice field. So you should definitely head up to that also. Neo is having their game. Neo Day Mission, there we go. Neo Day Mission in New America. Sorry, I'm recording this off my computer. I forgot my normal recorder. So, yeah. Neo Day, a New America game, is on June 1st. It's at a brand new field up in Warren, Ohio. I might go to this one, I don't know. It depends on how things work out and if I ever get my G36 replaced. So, and then the last bit on this is there is actually a new field opening up called Elite Action Sports Park in Madison. It is still under construction. They are apparently working Okay, my English just failed me. So they're apparently working to get the field ready. They're hoping to have a game in June to officially launch. So keep your eyes out for that one. The only real discussion I have for today would be, and it's not really a discussion, it's more a survey. It's created by Blade. He's looking for serious airsoft players. Now, this being airsoft, I don't think you can take anything seriously because half the time it's all comical anyway. So, what he's looking for, he's looking for full name, call sign, team, years of experience, age, etc., etc. So he's just kind of looking for a general survey about players themselves or anybody that considers themselves a serious airsoft player. So if you haven't filled that out, you should totally fill that out. Either put it on the thread or you can email him. So we'll do that. Coming up here in a minute, and if you'll notice when this happens, the background noise will probably change drastically because right now I'm sitting in an empty parking lot. In about an hour, it'll be full and noisy. There will be an interview that you should definitely stick around for. So see you all in a minute. Okay, so I'm sitting here with Ray of 321 Airsoft, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yes. We're sitting in the, I'm going to call it the main building.
Staging for the kill house, basically, yeah.
Yeah, staging for the kill house at Devil's Playground.
Right.
So I wanted to ask, how did you get involved in this whole project?
A lot of the credit goes to Legion or Stonewall on Airsoft Ohio. And a couple of years ago when we were hosting out at Red Dragon, he had mentioned that they had come across this property. It was a friend of his. And they sat on it for 2 years. They just could not jumpstart it. And, we were pretty good friends with the guys from Legion and Stonewall and all that stuff. And back in the wintertime, it was mentioned that they wanted to get it going, but they needed the funding. So that's when Chuck and I met, Stonewall and I met, and we struck up a conversation about what it would take to get the field going, financially and all that stuff. And since the store carries its own liability insurance and it's actually field insurance, we could kind of use our policy to cover this field. So that was how the whole thing got started, and it went from there. So.
So what kind of challenges did you face with getting the field up and going?
The first challenge for opening the field was just securing the insurance for the first thing. The landowner certainly wanted to make sure that we were covered legally to operate something like this. And so we had a lot of meetings and all that stuff, and that just ate up a lot of time. So you imagine I want to open this field, and then you have a time frame, and imagine 50% of that opening of your time frame is just legal stuff. Meeting with the landowner, meeting with lawyers, getting insurance, quotes, and then coming up with the revenue to pay for the insurance, because all that stuff has to come up front. So that was the biggest challenge. The second challenge for this field was getting it into a safe and operatable condition, because this property was untouched for a long time, so there was a lot of safety hazard and debris on the field, and it took a lot of time to get people out here to slowly get that stuff off. If people had seen this field, what it looked like prior to this, if you go on Airsoft Ohio and you look at the thread for this field 2 years ago when they were trying to even, just the idea of opening it, people were like, that place looks unsafe, I would never play there. So we had to get it beyond that. We had to get it beyond the stigma, and that was the biggest hurdle, was just getting people to understand that we were going to take this place seriously, legally and, operationally, as, with staff and safety. So,
yeah. Safety's big.
Yeah.
I can attest to all the stuff out there, because I was walking around and I found like 4 or 5 just like little pits of concrete sitting out there.
Yeah. There's a couple things out there where it's just this facility. There were several buildings actually on here, and then there were structures underneath it and everything. Mm-hmm. And so a lot, and it was years and years and years ago. So over time, some of that stuff is overgrown. So you discover it as some of the brush gets pulled off of it. You're like, wow, that's a concrete pillar.
Yeah.
Generally, when people come to an AO like that, they just have to be aware that you're playing on uneven ground. You're playing in areas where there might be unsettled footing. So you just gotta go at a kind of a casual pace. Slow yourself down so you can be safe. Most of the players will never encounter that stuff because they stick to the trails and they stick to the common areas. So the past 2 times that we've had a game, we had the opening day and then we had today, and we both had somebody go into the bog.
Yeah.
They thought it's, this is a little creek and it's not deep, and it's deep. It's like a pond. So we warned people in advance, don't even try to traverse that. And we ended up people with, belly deep or chest deep in mud. So yeah.
So other than the bog, has there been any other issues with running the events or anything you've learned so far out of the 2 games you've run?
Well, since we've had two runs, it's kind of hard to say that we haven't mastered, or we have mastered. It's just so much that we haven't. We try and anticipate everything that we can possibly cover.
Yeah.
But you can't cover everything. There's going to be a situation where you end up with a certain group of people, and your staffing levels, you always try and keep them matched to the numbers. But one of these days you're going to get caught off guard. So operationally, you may, start off slow, or you might not be able to cover an area where maybe say there's an argument or a problem. You just got to make sure that you've got that all covered, and you just got to assume that if you can do 90%, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Acceptable is like 70% of it. Cover 70% of the problems that happen operationally during the day. You're doing great. Yeah. It won't break down at that point. But, if we can get to 90%, I think day 1 we hit 90%, which I think is because we were just so ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say there were refs everywhere day 1.
Yeah. Day 1 was one of those things where we didn't know what kind of crowd, so we were over-prepared.
Yeah.
And we were able to park everybody and register everybody and crown everybody. 365 people, we got everybody through, and we were only 25 minutes late.
Yeah.
So we were happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we didn't know what to anticipate, and because it was a holiday weekend, we were a little understaffed. I was a little disappointed today. We kind of got messed over at lunch, but that wasn't our fault. We kind of had a issue with the place that was supposed to deliver our pizza. So those are things that we're going to get on and make sure that next time, it's just, you can't, like I said, you can't be 100%.
Yeah.
If you could do 90%, and then you deal with that other 10% the next time. So that's how we're going to handle this. So yeah.
So obviously today was the second event, the second open play. What kind of events have you started thinking about planning for the future, or is there anything starting to line up?
Well, one of the things was we wanted to keep it as an open play because we've got in the Cincinnati area, we've got a large crowd that lives really close to here that never have gone to like a large event or an actual organized event. So the first few games, we wanted to make sure we just kept it low key. No milsim overdone, because some people get lost in the milsim concepts for open plays. And we just want to make sure that we can get everybody in, get people playing, and the idea was to eliminate as much downtime as possible. In the future, we're going to expand to that. We're going to start running games that are specifically milsim oriented, kind of like we did at Red Dragon. But I think there have been talks about us reviving the BioShock series and closing that out because it was supposed to be a trilogy. We just didn't have a venue for the third one. Yeah. And then obviously the Snowblind series, which was a really good operational series that usually happened in the winter. We'll bring that one back. We're also looking to bring back the concept of Patriot, which fell apart because of legal issues with a landowner a few years ago. Patriot fell right out of our hands. We had a 3,000-acre field that we were going to play on, and it just disappeared on us. And it was the day registration opened. The lawyers called us and said one of the partial property owners just pulled it out from underneath us. So we want to take baby steps and then ease into larger games. Obviously, once we know how this field plays, and that's basically what these open plays are major experiments. We know we can put 365 people on here now. Yeah. That was the first day. That was the experiment. Yeah. We also learned today that 100 people actually plays major experiments. We know we can put 365 people on here now. Yeah. That was the first day. That was the experiment. Yeah. We also learned today that 100 people actually plays kind of small. We got to the end of the day and we started focusing the games in more congested areas so that there was a lot more action. Yeah. Earlier in the day, some of the action spread out and we only saw groups of like 5 and 10 fighting each other. Yeah. So the field plays bigger than it looks. And we need to know all those things so that when we build milsim games or big ops in the future, they don't fall apart because we don't have a kind of an operational concept of the field. Red Dragon was that thing too. When we hosted Red Dragon, we knew exactly how that place would play, no matter how many people we put out there, because we've done it so many times. We did 32 consecutive open plays at Red Dragon. That's how many I had hosted. Yeah. And then all the other ops like BioShock and Snowblind. So we knew that when we put people in respawns in there, we knew exactly how that place would play out just looking at it on a map. We need to know that for this field before we can really move forward. Yeah. Because we don't want an entire op that somebody may be paying more for props and all that stuff to fall apart. So these open plays are experiments. Like today we flipped the game just to see if it was position that gave someone an advantage. Yeah. So that was, an experiment. And we'll keep doing that. We'll keep testing it and see what works. I mean, next time we may have 50 people out here, and we may say, okay, wow, this is really slow paced, or we get 150, or we get 200, and who knows what it's going to be. But each time we're learning something new about the field that's going to help us in events. And we definitely want other groups and organizations to come out here and utilize this field. We had a whole conversation that this would not be a team-oriented field. It wouldn't be just like one team's field. Yeah. It's not locked into that. It's more like the people who staff it are people that are just willing to help out for the field, almost like employees. And then teams that want to come and host games, their operation stuff, like their scenarios and everything will be on top of a layer of safety. So imagine that there's like a base layer that's consistent of referees, chrono station, registration, parking, all that stuff is in place so that when a team wants to come here and approach us and say, can we host at your field, we can just throw their game on top of what already exists. Yeah. So they don't have to handle chrono. They don't have to handle refereeing. They can handle operating the game. Yeah. So that's the whole concept that we want to move forward with this field. So, yeah.
All right. So, are you going to do any field expansions like new buildings or anything?
We are working on new buildings. We almost had another one done, but we got a bobcat stuck in the mud. So we spent 6 hours the other night, which we were supposed to be building buildings, and we were actually cranking a Bobcat out with a chain and a tree.
Yeah.
So the LZ is supposed to actually represent a helicopter pad. We're even going to put like an airfield sign on there and a toll gate going up that little road.
Yeah.
So I wish I had some artist concepts of what it was. We expanded the loading docks. So you can see that the loading docks is turning into kind of like an ammunition depot.
Yeah, I did
and
see
that played really well today. I thought that place was like everybody's favorite.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everybody loved playing on those ammo crates and up on the elevated dock and stuff like that. And then plus with all the brush around there, it made it easy to kind of sneak up on it from multiple directions.
Oh, yeah.
We are looking to actually expand that to oil field. We have a power plant coming in where there will actually be telephone poles with cables running across them that you can carabiner on and off so that you can cut power or add power to the power station. The idea of being able to cut power to a village or being able to restore power is part of mission design. The oil field, we even kicked around the idea of making a continuous pipeline that ran down one of those concrete paths. You remember there's a path that comes from the oil refinery?
Yeah.
The idea would be is there would be segments of a pipeline that can be taken out, and part of the missions would be to replace them and put them back in.
Yeah.
So the concept would be to build a pipeline or secure oil fields, and we're actually going to be putting in mock, like the oil tower looking things out of wood and painting them black. So the whole idea is to expand, and then eventually once we get the, I believe it's the east end of the field kind of cut out, to put a small village really deep in the thicket.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to go in here, and you'll see that happening probably within like the next year. Yeah, a year. You'll see this place change in a year. It really will. So we're looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I love the field. I'd like to thank you for having this open play today. I'm probably going to be one of the fields I'm at the most now.
No, we appreciate you coming out. And you know, the sad part of this is that we've now hosted 2 games, which is not a lot, but I've yet to actually play the field.
Yeah.
I haven't even fired a gun out here myself, and it's like 6 months of working on it, and I almost it's like when we get this game up and running operationally, I want to go out there and see what you guys are seeing.
Yeah.
So I try and get feedback because right now, you guys know how the field plays from a player's perspective.
Yeah.
I can only watch. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be interesting. So thank you for your time.
no problem.
Yep.
No, thanks for the interview, guys. Thanks for you guys for coming out.
Yeah, and that'll finish up the episode, and tune in 2 weeks for the next one.
All right. Have a good one.
See ya.